So this is part 2 of Unit 2 in the Security Guard curriculum. Now we're going to talk about primary directives. Primary directives. Detect, deter, report. Detect is proactive observation and perception, including patrol. So detect means find problems. Deter, prevent crimes from occurring, which isn't only crime, but any kind of a hazard or a problem. Maintain high visibility, vary patrol routes and times, which means mix it up. Don't always do the same thing at the same time every day. And report. Report and record, both written and verbal, all observations and contacts per employer policy. And that's just another visual for you. Detect. This includes diligent patrol, utilizing good observation and perception skills. This is known as taking a proactive approach to the performance of duties. Deter. This is accomplished by maintaining high visibility, high-profile uniform appearance, and random patrol. The most detrimental action, which means harmful, the most harmful action that a security guard can take is to fall into a pattern or routine in performing their duties. Deterrence can be looked upon as preventing a crime or an incident from occurring. Report. Record information. All pertinent information must be reported in order to protect persons and/or property from harm, theft, and/or related activity on the employer or client's property. Report methods such as written, verbal, and electronic should detail the who, what, when, where, why, and how of an incident. And again, that should sound familiar because we talked about that with arrest reports and incident reports back in law enforcement. And so here's a little picture, and you can draw this in your notebook if you want. But detect, deter, report. It's a never-ending cycle. You're never stopping and starting. They're just continuously. You're looking for problems, you're deterring problems, and then you're reporting them if they happen anyway. So that's your primary directive: detect, deter, report. Detect, deter, report. Okay. Proactive versus reactive, and that's another concept we talked about back in law enforcement. Proactive prevents a crime from occurring, and reactive is motivated by an incident in progress. So reactive, you're responding to something that's either happening now or already happened. You didn't prevent anything. Proactive means you're taking care of a situation before it even becomes a situation. So our detect, deter, report, it's a positive continuum cycle, constantly detecting, deterring, reporting. Proactive versus reactive. Proactive, activity that prevents crime. I don't know what this is. Proactive, activity that prevents crime from occurring. Patrolling to seek out criminal activity. Access control, which is another unit in this training, monitoring who gets in and who doesn't, who's allowed to get into certain places and who isn't. And motivation to deal with the situation is internal. Inside yourself, you want to stop a problem before it happens. Reactive, response to criminal activity. The situation controls the response. You're not really in control. The situation's in control, and you're just reacting and responding to it. And the motivation to deal with the situation is external. Security guard duties. Security guards must have knowledge of the facilities being protected, such as policies and procedures of the employer or client, post assignments, and the security guard operation. Demographics and layout of the facilities and hours of operation. So there's a good chance that there's going to be many buildings on your property. It isn't just one building, although it could be one building, but in an industrial setting where you work at a plant, say GE, for example, many buildings. And the demographics of that means what is the layout, what's the layout of the facility, and how many people, which people are in which buildings at which times. And that's information you don't keep all memorized in your head. You would have paperwork and documents telling you that. But in the event of an emergency, if you think about this, number 3 here says safety and fire regulations. God forbid a fire breaks out and you have to call the fire department. The first thing they're going to want to know is which building has people. Where are the people? Who is unaccounted for? Because saving lives is the first priority. Life over property. So they're going to, and they don't need to be wasting their time and putting themselves at risk looking for people in a building that has no people in it. And if you were supposed to know that, which you are supposed to know that as a security guard, that's what we mean by demographics. That's going to be bad for you. So, and bad for the people. So you also need to have knowledge on alarm and firefighting procedures, notification procedures for police, fire, and EMS. And this is an example. This is a picture of what I'm talking about. This is all one plant. So, gosh, there's a ton of different buildings, and most of them are many stories. Right? There's a lot of floors in each of these. Well, what exactly do they do in each building? Are they manufacturing? Are they doing research? Is it laboratory? Are there chemicals? What kind of chemicals? Are they toxic? As far as police, fire, EMS response, which way do you want them coming in? Are there gates that are locked that need to be unlocked? Who's going to direct them? And this is what I mean about law enforcement, local law enforcement. They're not going to have any idea probably about the layout of this. This is private property and this is a private company. And the police, they don't have any reason to come on this property unless there's a call for service. But they're not going to come onto private property to do patrol. They have a big, area to patrol, and that's just not something that they can do, which is why companies need their own security. So part of demographics is knowing every single one of these buildings, what's inside of them, what function they serve, what workers, what employees are assigned to those buildings. Are there workers that go between or have access to more than one area? All of that information the security guard needs to have. So some general tasks of security guards: escort service, which means you don't let visitors just walk around and go wherever they feel like going. You take them to where they're visiting. Alarm response, crime prevention, constant localized patrol, which could be mobile, meaning in a car, foot patrol, bicycle, fixed, which means like a desk or a booth, and closed circuit television. So these are all different ways that patrol is conducted in security work. And just here's a picture of escort service. He's walking her to where she needs to go. He's not just going to let her go by herself. Number 1, she could get lost. Number 2, she could get hurt. And number 3, what if she's a spy for a competitor and she just gets in someplace she's not supposed to and tries to get all the secrets? We can't have that. Some other security guard duties, some other general tasks of security guards: crowd control, traffic control, customer or client service, basic investigations, information gathering, and any others as assigned. So again, with traffic and crowd control, it really depends on where you're working. If you're working at a residential facility or a nursing home, you probably don't have crowd and traffic issues, but the track, Saratoga, in the summertime, SPAC, Saratoga Performing Arts Center, there's a huge crowd and traffic problem. Times Union Center, same thing. And yeah, absolutely, basic investigations can be done by private security. And it's just a picture of the officer directing traffic. The duties and role of public law enforcement officials are becoming more specialized in nature, creating a void, creating a hole, in the more commonplace or routine tasks historically performed by them. The era of the untrained watchman-type security guard is no longer realistic or effective in accomplishing the mission of protection of life and property. Today's technology and the ever-changing needs within the varied industries that employ security guards demand that security personnel adapt in order to properly serve their needs. Some of the regular duties involved with the security guard operation are patrol, pilferage, and theft control, access control, and maintaining general order. Pilferage is a type of stealing. So, site-specific tasks of security guards: theft by outsiders, substance abuse, employee theft, and white-collar crime. Examples of site-specific tasks that require a security guard to detect, prevent, or deter are theft, to include pilferage committed by visitors, vendors, salesperson, and other employees. A security guard can circumvent these occurrences by being aware of delivery schedules, visitors' policies, and access level of persons in and around the facility. Substance abuse. This condition places the employee and co-workers in possible jeopardy depending upon the work environment. Narcotics in the workplace allows for the proliferation of criminal activity. Employee theft. A major portion of theft from an employer can be attributed to employees, whether it was in the form of theft of property or theft of time. You can steal time. We can talk about that more on the Zoom meeting. White-collar crime can include sabotage, bribes, coercion, kickbacks, payoffs, computer fraud, and embezzlement. Security guard duties: emergency situations. Terrorism, weapons of mass destruction can include chemical dispersal, biological dispersal, radiological, nuclear, or explosives. Bomb threats, riots, civil disturbances, strike or picket actions, hazardous material incidents, natural disaster accidents. Medical emergencies and evacuations where applicable. Must be able to handle all situations, must know legal limitations, acting as security guards, not police or peace officers, must know policies and procedures of the organization they serve. Security guards must be able to handle these situations and still provide other services as called upon by an employer or client. Security guards must always be cognizant, aware of the fact that they are acting pursuant to their employment and that they are not police or peace officers. Security guards perform their duties as private persons and must realize their limitations in carrying out duties. Security guards should be familiar with all department policies, procedures, rules, and regulations, the policies of their clients, as well as the applicable federal, state, and local laws that govern their actions. Security guards may be required to take additional instruction in industry or site-specific areas to serve their employer or client in an informed and professional manner. Therefore, all reference materials such as training and operational manuals, post orders, and policies and procedures should be made available and routinely reviewed. Summary. Upon completion of this section, the student, without reference to notes, will be able to identify the functions of a security guard and the responsibilities that accompany the position, define, detect, deter, and report, and list and describe the duties performed by security guards. And when you're signed in, you will get your quiz. I'm not going to show it to you here, but there's 14 questions in this unit. And the quiz that you see here will be the same one that you'll have in Soccer Div on Friday. Okay, good job.